Hi guys, thanks for listening in and clicking on this video. My name is Ejona Xega and I am running for president for the UC Lit. Before I start talking to you about why I want to run and why I have a passion for this position, I want to talk to you guys about my past experiences that have gotten me to this current position right now. So end of my first year, my dear friend of mine inspired me to join the UC Lit. He kind of forced me to join, and I didn't really thought it was for me, but I got involved second year and I was the rep for Athletic Commission, Social Commission, and Global Action Commission, and I got the great opportunity to work with so many students and so many dedicated and passionate members of the council, and I actually saw what the council can do and how much it affects students and the impact it has in UC. So that right away started me off on a very good note. I also was involved with the Winterfest committee in my second year, and I got to work, since second year I got to work with members from other colleges and collaborate with them in throwing one of the biggest UFD events that we offer. And in my third year I decided to take a step back from council and kind of focus more on a UFD-wide involvement. So I got involved with the St. George Roundtable, and this is a council where all the presidents from each college and the two faculties of engineering and physical education and kinesiology come together, and it's basically like a forum where they share ideas, they collaborate on events like Winterfest and Homecoming, and they explain their policies and what they do as presidents and what went good, what went right, what went wrong. And I facilitate this discussion and I organize the meeting, so I got to see everyone's perspective from each college. Also, I was part of the Winterfest and Homecoming committee again this year, and I'm very proud of the work that we did this year because we were able to cater to way more students, thousands of UFD students, and have bigger, more successful events. So I already mentioned the St. George Roundtable, and this is why I'm running right now. I bring 3 different perspectives to this table. I was a UC Lit member, I was the average student third year, where I got to see how the council affected students and how it affected me from the outside perspective, and I have the UFD-wide perspective where I know how UC stands in a UFD community and how people perceive it, and I know our reputation, and I believe a lot in UC, and I know that we can bring UC to higher ground, have a stronger voice, a louder presence, and I know that we can push it to become that leadership college that I know it is, since we are the founding college at UFD. So that is why I'm running, and I have all these ideas that I want to bring. For example, more services directed towards UC students, and this will be with my student projects idea, where it will UC students can come up to us and bring ideas, so stuff like that, and that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you. Okay. How are we going to keep Lit's the finances in order? So I think if we take certain steps in order to ensure that everyone is spending their budget responsibly and effectively, I think we're not going to have any problems of overspending or going over budget and all that. So how I'm going to do that? I think the core exec should sit with every commissioner before they plan any event and go over the budget and go over any unreasonable or avoidable expenses and trim any of that. And meetings throughout the process of their events is necessary, and that I mean with the core exec. The president, the finance, and the VP will sit down with the commissioner in order to ensure that they're in line with what they projected they were going to spend. Also, a wrap-up with every after event, and that's necessary to ensure that everything was as it should have gone through, and there are not going to be any unforeseen expenses in the future. So if we are firm with all that, I don't think anyone will go over budget, and we will hold people accountable if they do, though. Thank you. Having a good relationship with all administration and all groups in UC is very important for the presidential role. If elected, I think maintaining a strong relationship with UC administration, so that's our principal and the other staff, is important in case we will require for their support in situations like the Lit had this year with financial support. Further, UFD relations is also very important, keeping in contact with the vice provost student that offers a lot of student life initiatives, and that can happen with the monthly lunch meetings that they provide for the president role, and I think keeping to that is important. Furthermore, the St. George Roundtable is an excellent opportunity for all the presidents to come together and collaborate on big events, college-wide events, UFT-wide events, unifying St. George campus to integrate more into the UFT community and develop the UFT pride that we all want. Also in terms of UTSU, I'm very passionate about holding our board of directors accountable, and that will involve making sure that they come to our meetings and represent us as well as going to UTSU, but first and foremost, UC's issues are most important in order for them to represent us properly, and that's what I will try and do to maintain that relationship. What happened with Amazing Race? I was appointed the task of Club Night and Amazing Race by the two co-chairs that were running Frosh Week last year, and they had enough faith in me to do all these two events by myself, which I gratefully took, and I hoped that I could succeed in both of them. Club Night was done very well, and I was proud of the job because I also saved $500 for orientation week that they could help use for something else. In terms of Amazing Race, I think I was a bit unprepared for it personally because I didn't foresee all the little details and all the small mistakes that can be easily made. I made all the locations and the clues well ahead of time, but I think the small little details about the actual challenges were a bit overseen as to how important they were, and there were a lot of unforeseen events, like stuff were closed, but I think it's very important for us that we didn't do last year, that we do a run-through of the Amazing Race beforehand, that all the execs know how to do all the events, that the leaders are well informed of it too beforehand, and that these are criticisms that I voiced to the co-chairs, and that I think knowing also past execs and past co-chairs informed me that this is probably more than a one-person job. Maybe two people should do this, so one person doesn't miss all the small details that I did. And because I did love Amazing Race, and I think it has a lot of potential, and we can make the challenges more exciting, a bit more challenging for the Frosh, because I think that's what they wanted. And the survey results also showed that they liked the event itself, but I think the pace is a bit too slow, and the challenges weren't formatted in the way that the whole group can be involved. So that's what I would change, and I would hope that the co-chairs for next year allow me to give my input in the matter, because I already went through experiences and I know people's feedback of it, and I completely admit that I was stressed and I showed it, but my colleagues, my fellow execs helped me a lot through it, and they gave me their opinions and advice, and in the end they tried to tell me students' feedback that they heard that they actually liked the event. So, but overall, I'm very proud of the job that I did in Frosh Week, and I'm appointed again as an exec for next year, and I'm very excited for that. I completely understand why some people would have a concern about this, but I knew I wanted that I was going to run for this position a year ago, right when I finished my council term from last year. I had a passion for it, I knew I was going to do it, so I made a strong effort to ensure that I still kept very much involved in UC Lit affairs, so that I knew what was happening. I made sure that I talked to the finance person, the finance commissioner, the VP, and the president. On top of that, because I was part of the St. George Roundtable, I got to hear monthly updates from the UC Lit president about, especially more significantly, on the financial matter. And also in order to reassure people that I am very much informed and up to date with what is happening. I know from the get-go that the Lit was made a first assumption of how much money they had, and then there was much less. They had previous invoices that they hadn't paid for, that they hadn't foreseen. They were passed down from last council. I know that they had a lot of outstanding invoices from grad formal, the Bell, college administration things, and auditing had a lot of problems with it, but thankfully they passed it and they had no problems anymore. And they are going to get their they passed and they were able to ratify any problems, and they are going to be able to get the 40% later on this month, that will pass on later to the next year's council. And I've been advised, because I would want to get suggestions from this year's council that put 30% of that money in capital account for emergency situations. And I'm also very aware that the accounting system has changed, that no more paper-based check requests are being issued anymore, that they're using QuickBooks and other programs like Expensify. So I tried to make sure that I was up to date with all the information and that I was genuinely informed in order for me to do this position properly for next year, so I could, instead of starting from scratch, continue on and use their suggestions and my group's suggestions to improve the matter.